What's good everyone, OJ here, and welcome to my video for Gungrave G.O.R.E. Now in this video, we're going to talk about the new stylus action game, Gungrave G.O.R.E. This is a third-person shooter in the storied Gungrave anime franchise where you take on the role of Grave, a strong, silent, badass anti-hero that has no problem wiping the floor with all of the enemies that are in his way. It doesn't matter. Whatever this guy needs to do to accomplish his mission, he will get it done, and I found that out while playing this game quite a bit. Now, Grave is the ultimate killing machine. In this game, I found myself pretty much killing anything in front of me. Like, I never really knew about Gungrave, but when I first kind of jumped into it, I'm just shooting and mowing down everything. It was kind of interesting compared to some of the other games that I usually play. Now, you're just smoking everyone with a hail of bullets, specials, melee attacks. I mean, anything goes in this game. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Gungrave franchise like myself, you can still play this game, Gungrave G.O.R.E., because the game has its own self-contained story and enemies and the evil organization. Everything there is kind of self-contained. However, if you've played the previous games or familiar with the stories, you will understand certain concepts, especially revolving around this mysterious sea. That's been a thing in the Gungrave games and of course in the series. Now, if you want to familiarize yourself with the previous story of Gungrave, there is a handy history section from the main menu that you can boot up and catch up on everything to do with Gungrave, so it gives you a little bit better understanding heading into the game. Now, let's talk about the meat and potatoes, because everyone loves some bullet Gungrave action, and Gungrave G.O.R.E. gives you that in loads, and it's just nonstop, man. Like, I found myself kind of sometimes having to just kind of decompress because of just how much bullets and stuff is flying on screen. This is like an old school game. It kind of takes me back to like the arcade days where just everything is getting shot up. Now, at first the controls were a little awkward for me, as, you know, the game kind of layered on a lot of different mechanics in a pretty short amount of time in the first and second level. There was a lot of new moves, skills. I mean, it was kind of all over the place at first, but after I kind of played for a bit more and kind of got the hang of things, it was easy to really just kind of smoothly go from one thing to another, finishing kills, bullets everywhere, different specials, and I was like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. Now, speaking of these finishing kills, this game has a whole grading system based on how well you do and how long you keep your combo meter going. You want to make sure that you're always like just running full bore through the levels and shooting up everything in your path and taking as little damage as possible. Pulling off really cool special moves plus finishers provides a pretty satisfying gameplay loop that offers quite a bit of replay value too, because you'll want to replay the missions and get better scores, which that's pretty cool because of what we're going to talk about in just a bit, because the replay value and the gameplay is further enhanced as Grave can upgrade a host of different special abilities before any missions. And I didn't know that about this game going into it, so it's pretty cool to see quite a bit of stuff that you can upgrade. You can kind of level up as you do well in the missions. Now, this includes increased health, new special moves, finishers, and combos. There's actually like a lot more than I thought would be there, and it was cool to learn different moves and make replaying certain levels pretty cool, because there's certain things that you learn with the specials and the finishers that let you finish things faster, let you get through quicker for better scores for the replay value. So that's pretty cool. Now, the game is about 14 hours or so there's quite a bit of content there. This is like a single play campaign without really replaying things, and there are multiple different locations and levels that you'll be going to, so there's quite a bit of variety, and you'll be fighting a bunch of different types of enemies with different abilities. Some of them are crazy. While there was a number of different enemies that I can fill full of lead, I did find some of the enemy types to be kind of generic in terms of how they attacked and the frequency in the levels, but it was still fun to pump them full of bullets, do specials on them, and keep my combo meter going. Like, some dudes be shooting rockets at you. I mean, they move kind of slow, but you got to kind of knock it back at them. Then other enemies will want to get up close and personal with specials and melee attacks. So you're going to have to see how you dispatch each one of these foes, whether you're yourself doing melee attacks back at them, or if you're taking them out with finishers and specials and various different things that Grave has, because you have a lot of tools at your disposal. Now, at the end of most of the levels, there is a boss battle, and these are probably my favorite parts of the game everything, especially when you turn up that difficulty. The battles get intense. This is something that I really like to do in the game because the game will just have a bunch of stuff flying at you. And I thought that the normal difficulty was good, but when you turn up that difficulty and you start leveling up, it makes you want to use your specials and use things way more than before. So I highly recommend leveling up, going back and replaying the missions on the harder difficulties, and you get better rewards, and also it's a bit more intense with the combat. Now, while the graphics can look okay at times, it does leave a little bit to be desired, especially on the Xbox Series X, which is where I was playing the game. The good news is the game runs at a seemingly flawless 4K 60 frames per second and has pretty good audio quality from what I've played in the performance mode. Now, there are a couple graphic settings for this, but I feel that the 60 frames per second mode, if you're playing it on PlayStation 5 or on the Xbox Series, I think that is the way to play the game. Now, overall, Gungrave G.O.R.E is a cool third-person shooter that fans of the series should definitely enjoy. Now, for my first time getting into the franchise, I had a blast. Like, I think that it was pretty cool to kind of go through and shoot up the enemies, do the different specials, replay the missions, and kind of go through the boss battles. And that's kind of where I really like to focus on, because I felt the boss battles were sometimes a little bit like, okay, I kind of know what he's going to do, but it threw in some wrinkles on some of the later ones that I don't want to spoil, but I did have quite a bit of fun going through it with there. Now, I will also say that Gungrave G.O.R.E offers a pretty dope soundtrack too. The presentation and the soundtrack is kind of insane. So if you're into that hardcore metal music and all of that, like, Gungrave G.O.R.E is gonna be right up your alley, because this guy, man, the way that he dresses, the way that he acts, the music that plays, it all kind of flows together with the combat in the game. And that's pretty much the best thing about this. The story, if you're into Gungrave, is going to be right there on point for you. You're probably going to like it. But someone like myself, who had to do like the recap and wasn't really into it for the decades that the show has been around, it kind of lost me just a little bit with everything. It's kind of difficult to kind of go through, but I think that the gameplay kind of carries it. And if you're willing to really dig deep into the story and look at the history and kind of look into it, I think that it provides a pretty solid story for those who want to get into the Gungrave lore and everything. But for me, this game is all about the hardcore gameplay, about the specials, about the moves, the replay value. That's what makes Gungrave G.O.R.E a solid game to play. If you're into the Gungrave games out there, I think that is pretty fun for that. If you're not into those, then it's something that maybe you might want to check out. Is a third-person shooter, has plenty of replay value. It's got a lot of bullets flying on screen. So if you're someone who's into third-person shooters with that old school action flair to it, where you're just shooting up everything on screen, this is the type of game that you might want to check out. I'll also say this too with the main character. He's totally my type of vibe. Like, the silent dude that's just going through, destroying everything. That's my type of dude in video games, man. Like, I loved some of the different cutscenes that were there, and he would just roll in completely like unbothered with what's going on and say, I'm gonna complete this mission, I'm gonna get it done no matter what. So it was pretty cool to see some of the cutscenes and exactly how everything kind of shook down, because it was hilarious to see him just dispatch so many people like so quickly at the blink of an eye. So that was pretty dope too. We don't have a Nintendo Switch version announced for those, because I know some of you guys are gonna ask about a Switch version of the game. There isn't anything at this point, but maybe later down the line. But right now, no Switch version of the game, just Xbox, PlayStation, PC. And once again, it's coming out November 22nd. There'll be more information in the link in the description. I'll also have a link for you guys for more information if you wanna check out the game. So I really do appreciate you guys watching the video, for those who made it through to here. Now, for this final part, I'm gonna leave you guys with some pure gameplay of one of the boss battles from the beginning of the game, so you guys can check out some of the intense action, one of the things that I like the most about it. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it, and enjoy the smooth gameplay of Gungrave G.O.R.E.